Sweeties, I am back. I've been kind of slacking off and doing some different things instead of keeping track with my read aloud book. But my friend Elijah Bales, he said, Miss Oxley, are you ever going to read chapter 12? And I'm like, you know what, buddy? We're back at it. We better get to it. So here we go. When we left off, let's see. Maddie was following Logan, and just as he was about to bash the Russian guy on the head with a big rock, he looks up and he sees her bracelet hanging from a tree limb, and he knows that she's not dead. He knows that there's no way that that thing could just be hanging out there. She must have left it as a signal or a sign for him. So he kind of checks himself and gets himself together. And now we're waiting to see. She's waiting for her moment to move, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what exactly she's going to do. I'm up here at my daughter's house. We're in beautiful Edgerton, Missouri. It's way, way far away. But that's my grand dog right there. That's Cubby. She was named after the world champion Chicago Cubs. That's the same year they got her. Was the same year the Cubs won the World Series. But anyway, so that's Cubby, and Cal is asleep right now. So I'm going to take that chance and read our next chapter. So let's go to chapter 12. Here we go. Oh, yeah. They always start with the letter that Maddie wrote to Logan when, after she had come to Alaska, that he said he never got. I don't know about that. But let's see. Dear Logan, it's been 2 years, 730 days since I sent my first letter. I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. You probably think you're too important to bother writing me back. I guess you lied too when you said we'd be friends forever. Oof, that's rough. I've learned a lot since I moved to Alaska, but the most important thing is this: any friend who doesn't write back isn't your friend at all. So, goodbye from Alaska, where I am the most important person for 20 miles in any direction. I'm the only person for 20 miles in any direction. Maddie. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. She wrote him for 2 years and never got an answer. That would break my heart. I don't know if I could be friends with somebody who didn't respond to me for 2 years, especially when she's all by herself. Ugh. Anyway, moving on. Logan had thought he couldn't get any wetter or any colder, but he'd been wrong. So very, very wrong. Like the kind of wrong he was when he bet Maddie that he could eat all the ice cream in the White House deep freeze, and then found out they were preparing for a state dinner and they had 100 gallons. He made it through half of one huge tub before she took pity on him and made him stop. He never wanted to feel that way again, but Logan was so cold, so sick. His feet hurt and his head hurt, and that energy bar had turned to acid in his stomach. He might have thought Stefan had poisoned him, except he knew for certain that Stefan's bosses were going to need him alive. When the man pulled to a sudden stop, Logan almost knocked into him. When Stefan said, "We rest here," Logan almost wanted to cry with relief. It was only the weight of Maddie's bracelet in his pocket that kept him going. He was walking as slowly as he could, but they'd been going for hours. More than once, he started to just sit down to stop walking. But Maddie was out there somewhere, watching. Logan wasn't about to let her see him cry. Ah. As soon as the kidnapper slid off his pack and sank onto a huge boulder, Logan dropped to a fallen tree. On any other day, Logan might have walked from the clearing and looked out over the huge hills and narrow valleys, the massive wilderness that spread out before him like something from a movie. He was on an epic quest, he told himself. Any moment now, reinforcements were going to show up, and he was going to save the maiden in distress. But Logan had to laugh when he realized that he was the maiden in this scenario, and he didn't care one bit. When the phone started ringing, it was a sound from another century, another world even. There are no phones in Mordor, Logan wanted to snap before he realized it's a phone. Da, the kidnapper said, answering it. He didn't bother to turn away from Logan or to lower his voice. Get here, the man shouted. Even if he hadn't understood every word, Logan would have known that Stefan was angry. Something wasn't going according to plan. No, Stefan snapped. A boat will take too long. We cannot reach the coast now. There's no time. We must have the plane and the doctor. A beat passed while Stefan listened and Logan worried. Whatever the person on the other end of the line was saying, it made Stefan stare at Logan. Not just with hatred. but with fury, as if Logan had personally killed his dog, burned his house, and ruined his whole future. Logan was the thing that went bump in the night as far as Stefan was concerned, and Logan made a point of remembering that, of reminding himself that maybe not everyone wanted him taken alive. No, everything is perfect on this end, Stefan said into the phone in Russian. Logan tried hard not to smile at the sarcasm he wasn't supposed to understand. But he must have failed because Stefan snapped, "What?" Logan shook his head. "It's rude to have conversations in front of people without including them. I'm kind of an expert, you see, because when I was 7, my parents got me an etiquette tutor. And if there's one thing 7-year-old boys love, it's etiquette. Now, what is etiquette? That's kind of an old fashioned word. We don't use it much anymore. It just means manners. That's all." Logan smiled his too bright smile, but Stefan only scowled. "You should rest your mouth while you're resting your feet." When the man hung up the phone and put it back in his pack, he pulled the zipper halfway, but only half. Logan could have sworn he'd done it on purpose, like eating in front of a starving man. Then Stefan pulled a map from his backpack and spread it on the nearest boulder. The map was laminated and unfolded into probably 20 squares. "Can I have the canteen?" Logan asked as he stood and walked towards Stefan and his map. "Here." Stefan shoved the canteen at him and Logan took it. He drained it in one long gulp and then handed it back, lingering a little too long over the map as he did so. The map's creases gave it something of a grid-like pattern, which was great as far as Logan was concerned. He liked things tidy and straight and neat. He liked things he could memorize. Hmm. So maybe he's a little smarty pants himself. He wasn't there for more than 10 seconds, 15 maybe, and Stefan, he never even got suspicious. Maybe I'll join the CIA after this, Logan thought, or maybe I'll lock myself in a room and never leave again. He was turning, he was thinking, when a gust of wind blew through the trees. Rain hit him hard, and the temperature seemed to drop instantly to below freezing. It was like winter decided to wake up and blow out its birthday candles. The rain suddenly burst from the clouds, thicker and colder, and Logan squinted for a moment, as if maybe he could shake his head and open his eyes again and find it had all been just a very bad dream. But it wasn't a dream. This was a nightmare. When the wind blew again, it caught the map and whipped it off the rock and across the clearing. They were in the middle of millions of acres of wilderness. No roads, no mile markers, and absolutely no cell signal. Google Maps would never get them to the airplane. Stefan would never get them to the airplane that Stefan was so desperate to meet. Stefan needed that map. So Stefan ran, chasing it like it was a butterfly, flitting and floating on the freezing wind. Logan didn't think about it. It wasn't a strategy or a plan. He only knew that Stefan was busy with his pack was sitting abandoned by the boulder. Pack that had the satellite phone in it. Logan didn't think at all. He just moved, instinct taking over, the fight for survival warring with the fight for being smart. But maybe this was smart. Maybe this was the right move at the right time. He didn't know. He didn't really care. He just knew that he had to do something. And he was reaching into the half zipped pocket of the pack, pulling the satellite phone free before he could even blink. He almost had it in his own pocket when he felt something ram into his side like he had just been hit by a bus. He fell hard, but the ground was soft enough that the only thing that really hurt was his pride. That was before Stefan managed to roll them again. Logan elbowed him in the ribs, but a moment later he was pinned against the ground, Stefan's heavy weight on top of him. Logan lashed out. He remembered everything every Secret Service agent had ever taught him during the long, boring nights in hotel suites and on campaign buses. He managed to reverse their positions. He was he got in a good shot to Stefan's eye. When the phone went skidding from Logan's hands, he lunged for it again, and that was his mistake. Face down in the mud, the cold seeped up from the ground and into Logan's bones. Stefan was on top of him, and Logan couldn't breathe. Stefan was too heavy, and he had both hands on the back of Logan's head, pushing his face into the mud. "This is what you are worth to me." Was Stefan yelling in Russian or in English? Logan didn't know, and he didn't really care. It was the last thing he was likely to ever hear in any case. This is what you are. I should kill you here. I should. Why are boys so stupid? The voice was light and airy, like sunshine, and that's how Logan knew that he was dead. That even in death, Maddie Manchester was going to mock him, roll her eyes at him, taunt him until the end of time. It's no more than he deserves. It was the most comforting thought he had had in ages. But then Logan could breathe again. Stefan's weight was off his back, and Logan was able to roll over and look up into the freezing rain that struck his face like pinpricks, jolting him awake. You're alive? Stefan said, and Logan pushed away, gasping for air and grasping for balance as he pushed to his feet and turned to see the most beautiful sight he'd ever laid eyes on. She must have washed the blood from her face, but a big bruise was growing on her temple. She was covered in mud and standing oddly, like she wanted to keep most of her weight on her right leg. But Maddie was there. Maddie was alive. What are you doing? Logan shouted. I couldn't let him kill you, she said, then smirked and looked at Stefan. You see, I've been wanting to kill him for years. I couldn't let you steal my thunder. You lived, Stefan said, looking her up and down. Then Stefan actually smiled. You must be very tough. Maddie looked like she wanted to smirk again, but Stefan went on. And also very stupid. Maddie shrugged at that. She actually looked like she might start chanting. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words from stupid Russian kidnappers will never hurt me. I'm sure I am, she said, but protecting his family happens to be my family business. Good, Stefan smiled. He reached down and pulled the satellite phone from the mud. He gathered up the map from where he dropped it. This is very good. Logan looked between the two of them as if maybe they'd slipped into a language that he didn't even speak. It's not good, Stefan, Logan told him. If you haven't noticed, you're outnumbered. Then Stefan turned on him. So fast, it was like he wasn't frozen, he wasn't tired, he wasn't weary at all. In the next moment, the knife was in his hand and it was at Logan's throat. When he spoke again, his mouth was an inch from Logan's ear. Oh, it's very good. Because now I have someone I can kill. Oh, he's horrible. He pushed Logan toward Maddie and pulled the gun from the waistband of his jeans, pointed it in their direction while he went to retrieve his pack, sliding the phone inside. Then he eased towards Maddie. Hands up. Maddie complied, but not without saying, okay, but please, just don't judge me based on my cuticles, okay? When your primary heating source is a wood-burning stove, dry skin is your perpetual enemy. Okay, she's trying to act like she's stupid. But we both know she's not stupid. She's a very smart kid. Play dumb. Let him underestimate you. Good job, Maddie. For a moment, Stefan looked at her like maybe she wasn't entirely sane. Like maybe kidnapping the president's son and dragging him across the wilderness in the freezing rain was okay, but maybe he had no idea what to do with any teenage girl who might willingly come along for the ride. But he was so happy with his new, highly disposable hostage that he was willing to compromise whatever questionable code of honor he happened to have. Logan realized as Stefan dug a length of slender rope from his pack and wrapped it around Maddie's wrists, tighter and tighter. And then the truth sank in. Maddie wasn't just Logan's ally. She was also Stefan's hostage. Mm. Oh, once her wrists were bound, Stefan ran a hand down her side, and Logan wanted to kill the man, but for an entirely new reason. Don't touch her, Logan shouted, but it was like he never said a word. The only difference was that now Stefan was smiling as he felt along Maddie's leg, her backside. Leave her alone, Logan shouted, but Stefan pulled back and held a small pocket knife between two of his fingers after he pulled it from the back pocket of Maddie's jeans. This isn't much of a knife, he said. He slid it into his own pocket as he laughed. You won't survive for long out here with this, little girl, he said. But for the first time, Maddie actually looked like this wasn't the best plan she'd ever had. Had she actually expected him not to search for her? Had she thought she was going to sneak up on Stefan and stab him with a knife that had a blade 3 inches long? Was that what Maddie was playing at? Oh, come on, man. Between the two of you, if I were stuck in the woods or needed rescue, I would want Maddie, not Logan. Won't get it twisted. She seems to know what she's about. Huh. Well, the game was up, Logan realized, and Stefan had moved on to Maddie's jacket. When he pulled out a small tube of Vaseline, she cocked an eyebrow. In Alaska, bears will totally kill you, but chapped lips will make you wish you were dead. Stefan put the tube back in her pocket and didn't say a thing. He just ran his hands expertly down her arms and up her torso. When he reached the chain around her neck, Maddie looked affronted. Just because you're in the middle of nowhere doesn't mean a girl doesn't feel better when she's properly accessorized, which was more than Stefan could take. He looked more pained than when Logan had hit him as he pushed her away. Enough! Stefan shouted. We walk now. Stefan was readying the pack, taking one last look at the map, but Logan could only look at the face he thought he'd never see again. Why are you here? Why didn't you save yourself? Logan asked. This time his voice actually broke. He was willing to die out here. He hadn't asked for this life, but he'd had 7 years to get used to it, to accept the possibility. But it should never have been Maddie's life, and the joy he'd felt when he found her bracelet was gone. Mad Dog, why didn't you run? He asked again. He honestly didn't expect an answer. He certainly wasn't expecting Maddie to raise her bound hands and throw them around his neck, to plaster her body against his and bring her lips to his mouth as if Logan might be holding her last breath. He'd never kissed Maddie before. Until 24 hours ago, he'd never really even thought about it. But he'd never cursed his handcuffs more than when he couldn't hold her, touch her, pull her close, and keep her near and never, ever let her go. Maddie hadn't run away. She hadn't saved herself because of this, Logan realized. This kiss. He just didn't know how right he was until Maddie's lips parted and the kiss deepened, and Logan felt a small piece of metal pass from Maddie's mouth to his. Then Maddie pulled back quickly. She unwound her hands from around his neck, and when Stefan yelled, Walk! She did exactly as she was told. Logan's legs weren't working right, though, neither was his head. Maddie had kissed him. It was smart, he had to admit. How else could she be sure that Stefan wouldn't find the key when he frisked her? What better way to pass Logan that key undetected? She'd kissed him so that she could save him. For the life of him, Logan had no idea why it made him feel so disappointed. Ah, I knew she wouldn't kiss him. She's too mad at him right now for any kissing. But so that was chapter 12. Maddie is now a captive with Logan. She's given him the key to his handcuffs so he can get his hands free. That could be an advantage. Anyway, so that was chapter 12. Let me know what you think. Cubby, say bye. Yep, Cubs. Say bye.